Bianca Lager here with the Blink Weekly Newsletter. One-on-one question of the week. Here to answer your questions in your inbox every week. So let's get into it with this week's submission. This week's submission says, where do I start creating the case for a promotion? I'm a senior manager doing the work of a director and then some. That's it. That was the entire question. And my first reaction was, well, I don't really have enough information here. And that sort of helped me get into the line of thinking that I think is going to be really useful for this submitter and hopefully for everybody else out there too that's looking to position themselves for promotion and really kind of what are the steps or what is the groundwork that you have to do. So when it comes to promotions especially, and this is almost particularly true when you're going from like a senior manager role into a director, a more executive role. Depending on the structure of the company, this could happen sometimes between director and VP. But essentially what the change that you are making is going from, managing, running a team, leading a team, and then going into a much more of a departmental leadership position. Now, when you are making that change, it is not about the executionary work. Not at all. And so your perspective might be, I'm already doing the work of a director. And I'm not going to contradict you because I don't really know. Maybe you do feel like you are running that department, that entire department. You're like, hey, I'm basically the director in all but name. So, what's the deal here? Could be. But it also could be a perspective shift on your end of what it means to be a leader at that next level. Again, without knowing the specifics of who you are and what the dynamics are at work, but my suspicion is, because this is very true in a lot of people's road to executive leadership and road to director and above level promotions, is that it's really not about the executionary work that you are doing, that your team is doing. But when you are at that director above level, it is much more about how you are coaching others to run their teams. You are removing yourself a lot from that frontline work. Not entirely, right? You're always going to get, your hands dirty. You're always going to need to roll through your sleeves and get in there and do the work. It keeps you creative. It keeps you on the front line of what's needed. However, your job as a leader changes dramatically when you're shifting from a manager to a director and above level. So my real pieces of advice are threefold to you. Now, the first piece of advice is almost telling in my response, because I'm saying, well, I don't really have enough information to give you a cut and dry answer. And nobody will. You don't even have that information. And let me tell you a secret. Your boss doesn't even know. Your boss doesn't know because there is a lot more development that you need to do. So the first piece of advice to you is get a coach. Get a coach, a mentor, both hopefully, but somebody who you can speak to, who can over time help you identify the skill gaps, help you identify the places where you need to grow as a leader, to where that promotion conversation isn't this heavy business case lift, but that you are fully ready, your company knows you're ready, and you can step into that role really seamlessly and really strongly. I would also mention that on this journey and as you work with this coach, one of the key pieces, and if they're a good coach, one of the key things that you should be doing along the way, and this is advice number 2, is be looking at the role models in your company of who you want to emulate. Now, it might be somebody super high senior in the C-suite, or it could be somebody that is just that different job title just above yours. But whatever it is, what is it that sets them apart? What is it that's different than what it is that you're doing? Or what is it that you think you could pick up on? And those are kind of the skill gaps that you're going to need to focus on in your work with your coach or your mentor, in your role and your growth of identifying who does well at your company and why. Now, I would say that lastly, there's so much to do with your presence and how you're showing up at your company. So you might be somebody who is really focused on the work and getting a lot done. Unfortunately, those people aren't necessarily the ones that are always getting promoted. For one, you're the one doing all the work. Why would we want you to do anything else? You're getting the stuff done that we've done. We're not gonna be able to do it without you. So, you really need to be honest with yourself about how you're showing up and what kind of leader you want to be. Again, without director and above roles, it is much more about your leadership skills, developing those, and how you are committed to the growth of others at your company, and how you show up both in your presence and in the way that you perform your leadership duties. So good luck to you, senior manager. I hope you are on a path and you are in a supportive environment where you can either find a mentor or a coach, some professional development resources, because this is not something that happens quickly. It is something that takes time for you to be ready for and to make a strong case, and of course, for the opportunity to be present at your job. Unfortunately, it also has to do with organizational management, right? So what you want to do on your side is control what you can control and be ready. So when that opportunity opens up, it's a no-brainer. You got that next role. All right. Take care, everybody. See you next week.